What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to do with you guys. This is the Spyderco Chaparral. Now, this is the titanium variant. There is, of course, a carbon fiber laminate variant and a lightweight FRN version. We're going to talk about those. First up, this knife was lent to me by Mr. Shaker MT 1970 on Instagram. Give this man a follow. It's because of people like him that I can bring you a consistent flow of content and cool knives like this. So thanks again, Shaker. I really appreciate it. If you guys are new to my channel, or you are not new to my channel, either way, you know I have Patreon, so if you want to get your hands on one of those cool stickers, help support me and gain access to my once-a-week Patreon exclusive content, you can follow the link down in the description and join if you'd like. You'll also be helping me reach my goal of 90 patrons, at which time I will offer a free-to-enter giveaway for everybody. There'll be an awesome knife that everybody can enter to win, not just patrons, literally everybody. So the support would mean the world to me. Anyways, let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. What on earth happened to my tape measure? There it is. Made it red so I could find it, or bought a red one so I could find it. I always lose it. Tip to scale, you're coming in at just shy of 6.5 inches. It's like 6.4 inches overall. Tip to scale on blade length, you're looking at uncontroversially under 3 inches. That's awesome. So people who can't carry a knife at the 3-inch mark or higher, you can carry this one, if that's the only limitation. 2.8 inches or so on the blade length, and then cutting edge, you're looking at about 2.4. It's just shy of 2.5 inches, thanks to that generous forward choil. Let's do some size comparisons. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall, so you can see they're much smaller than the Rat 1. How about up against the Benchmade Reptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue is coming in at 8 inches overall. Whoops, I skipped the PM2. PM2 is coming in at 8.3 inches overall, so quite a bit bigger there. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3 coming in at about 7.25. So you can see there, the Para 3 is my smallest knife that I do a size comparison with. Chaparral still coming in substantially smaller, though there are some surprising ergonomic features on this knife. We'll talk about those. How's the action? Well, this is a back lock or lock back. The action is actually very smooth. You can get it to sort of, if you shake a little bit. Now, this is Shaker's, and he's been using it, but that forward choil acts as a stop for the blade, you know, where your hand naturally sits. So if you shake it shut, or you do that thing where you sort of kick it down just a little bit, and then you use your... I have to do it off camera so I don't bump the camera. Then use your finger to put it away. You can do that. I mean, the safest way to do this is just pushing down and then clicking it into place. I will say that this area back here is a little bit sharp, so after a while, this isn't the most fidget-friendly knife in the entire world. Truthfully, I can get the reverse flick on this guy. You really have to push up and build up some kinetic energy. If you go out this way, you will inevitably, it's just not enough room. I'm sure you can also see pieces of my skin flying off everywhere, and that's because these knives that are in Spyderco's line that are made in Taiwan, Taiching, Taiwan, they don't really do the best job of knocking down edges like this on their satin finishes. On the Spyderco's US line, their Golden Colorado line, people are always still, I still have people going, Spyderco knives are not made in the United States. Some aren't. Some are made in China, some are made in Taiwan, some are made in Japan, and some are made in Golden Colorado, USA Earth, as you can see right there. So, for those of you who don't know, it just depends. Some Spydercos come from different places. Taiching, Taiwan is actually known for making the highest quality, the best, most precision Spydercos, actually. They're notorious for being the best in terms of fit and finish, followed closely, in my opinion, by Spyderco's USA line, which is actually my favorite. But anyways, my biggest qualm with the Taichung, Taiwan plant is they don't knock these edges down. So, even if you can get the reverse flick on this guy, it's a little bit tricky. You really have to push up. It's going to take quite a bit of your fingernail. See that? It's going to take your fingernail with it. And that grindiness kind of bothers me. Touching these areas right here kind of bothers me a little bit. I think that's a common complaint with this guy. How about weight? So on this guy, this is the titanium variant. The carbon fiber one will weigh less, and the lightweight version in FRN will weigh even less. We are looking at solid carbon fiber. There's no milling or anything on the inside, but we are looking at a super duper thin blade. Give you guys a measurement here of blade thickness. Oh my gosh, that can't be the case. Let's try that again. Wow. That is extreme. I didn't know that. That's extremely, extremely thin on the spine. Okay, not looking at much in terms of materials here. 2.61 ounces in terms of, you know, if you're going by the whole ounce and inch thing on the blade, yeah, this passes that test, no problem. Keep in mind, though, the carbon fiber one, it's laminate carbon fiber, and when I say that, I mean it's a carbon fiber sticker laying on top of G10, and then the FRN one will weigh even less. So that's pretty cool. Let's do carry profile. This knife is very, very thin, so up against like the Para 3 you can see there. This is not a knife that bothers me in terms of thickness, so the Chaparral is even thinner. How about carry profile? Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. Why do I use them? Because in my opinion, they have awkward carry profiles, and nobody ever seems to complain. So there you go. This is incredibly easy to carry and incredibly lightweight. Nothing wonky, in my opinion, about the profile of the knife, and that's great. So what are we looking at for the blade steel? We are looking at CTS XHP. Can you see it there? CTS XHP is definitely one of my favorite steels. Excellent edge retention, excellent corrosion resistance, decent toughness. A lot of people actually, you'll hear a lot of things online, you know, people say CTS XHP is the best steel out there. You'll hear plenty of arguments for it versus M390. I think they're both great. I don't have a problem with either of them. Typically, these are hardened to, I think, 61 Rockwell. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, an excellent blade steel. In fact, just about perfect, in my opinion, for a knife this size. What do I think this knife, what situations do I think this knife best fits in? I think this knife was clearly designed as an incredibly lightweight EDC, not meant for hard use at all. I think it best fits in scenarios like, you know, a formal event or church or something like that. This is a knife that I would carry with me for things like that. It's also, in a lot of cases, makes a great travel knife because it is a sub 3-inch blade, and it doesn't have, you know, I don't know that people would call this necessarily a one-handed opening knife. I think most people are going to have to use two hands to open it, though some places do restrict locking mechanisms, so it depends on your area. Check the local laws in your area first. But yeah, this is a knife that I would carry with me to travel. I live in Kansas, so the surrounding states are all going to be okay with this. Anyways, as usual, Spyderco's finish on the blade is great. It's satin. This comes down to the most ridiculous. This is definitely one of the sliciest blades I have ever had on the channel. I mean, considering the start, I didn't know the starting thickness was that thin, but just feeling this, this has got my Manix, my Para 2, my Para 3, all of those be no problem. Very, very slicey blade. Now, why I emphasized where I think this would be used and what it was made to be used for, I wanted to point out that this is not a hard use knife. You know, people are always telling me, Spyderco tips are so delicate, you can't jam them into, you know, the side of a bank vault door and pry it open. Why would you do, why? Don't do that. Don't use a knife. I mean, I know I'm being sarcastic, but I'm always shocked at the number of people who are like, I'd never buy a Spyderco because their tips are, they're ground that way intentionally. There are reasons in some situations you would want a teeny tiny thin tip, and in obvious, you know, other situations where you obviously wouldn't want that. The Chaparral, I feel like it's kind of, I don't really need to point that out to people, but I kind of feel obligated. Yeah, not a hard use knife. But the tip is going to be very delicate, so be cognizant of that. You can see Sal Glesser's insignia right there. So this is a Sal Glesser design. I think it's, you know, kind of, it makes sense to me that that's the case. You have the typical leaf-shaped blade. You have a fantastic choke-up position in this knife. This is awesome. This is one of the smallest knives that I've ever handled that I can get a full 4-finger grip on. I love that. I love Spyderco's choils. I love the ramp back here. Of course, the biggest problem, things that people don't like, there's no sharpening choil on this. I don't know why they do that. They just do. There's nothing in the cutting path, so it's gonna do your stuff. You know, you need to slice. You need you know, basically you need to be able to see through the tomato skin that you just sliced off of a tomato. I don't know why, but there you go. This is the knife to do it, definitely. Keep in mind, all the edges are pretty sharp. I mean, like in terms of what they're going to do to your fingernails, very, very sharp. I don't like that, but that's just the case with the Taichung Taiwan. I mean, somebody always makes the joke about the cutting edge. The cutting edge is sharp, yes. The other edges are either sharp or dull. The only edge that I want sharp on a knife is the cutting edge. Hilarious, hilarious joke. Thank you for continuously making it. Sorry, I'm cleaning up all of the gross little flakes that just came off of my fingernail after doing that. Anyway, Spyderco's billboarding, as usual, is not intense, so I'm happy with that. Look how cool these scales are. These are awesome. I don't know how they must machine them all at slightly different angles so that they reflect light differently. I've seen a couple of different variations of the different titanium scales that you can get on these. I'm hoping at some point I can get a lightweight version of this to take a look at, just so because in my opinion, it's a different knife. It's less than half the price of this, and it's probably worth pointing out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the hardware size, get out my handy dandy WIA bit selector and WIA magnetic driver. Two items that I can confidently recommend to everybody. They are extremely inexpensive, and you can find links down in the description for each of these items, as well as a lot of the knives that I show every day, whether they're really high-end American production knives or budget knives. There are tons of budget knives, tons of production knives, Benchmade, Spyderco, ZT, WE, Best, all that stuff it's all down there. So whatever your itch is, take a look at my description. It's nicely categorized and very convenient for you guys. T8 is what I'm guessing. Yeah, that is a T8 pivot screw. I couldn't remember if I showed you T8. And then I'm guessing back here, it's also T8. Yeah, T8 all the way around. Thank you, Spyderco, for doing that. Spyderco usually doesn't have a problem with the whole T8 thing. Their pivots are usually T10, and their body screws are usually T8. In this case, it's T8. The pivot screw and the body screws are all the same. Now, this is a lock back. They can, in some situations, be complicated to take apart. I don't know that I would say that it's going to be all that complicated. Let's look inside here. Usually, come on now. Usually they're running on phosphor bronze, but I honestly can't see. I'm going to guess that this is phosphor bronze. I'm not going to take it apart because it's not mine. Somebody can offer clarification if I'm wrong. You'll notice that there are two positions for the pocket clip. Both are tip up, which is the way I like it, making this knife fully ambidextrous because it is a lockback. So lefties, rejoice. You can carry this. It's awesome, right? Anyways, wire clip does not always do it for me, and it depends on the model. Truthfully, I'm a little underwhelmed by the wire clip on this model, but that's just aesthetically because functionally the wire clip always does a fantastic job, and that is the case here as well. The wire clip functionally is great. It does carry not perfectly deep, but very, very deep, and I don't have an issue with that. It's just great. You do have steel underneath the titanium reinforcing. It's just the lockback. As far as a small, delicate knife like this goes, this is definitely the most durable variant. Though the thing that's going to go first, if you really beat on it, is going to be the blade. So the titanium is just an aesthetic feature. You're not really paying for any additional utility or anything like that. And it is very beautiful. I like it. So again, things that that I would complain about. We got a sharp edge back here. That's kind of sharp. That's not going to be fun for people who like to go over and over again. Though in practice, if you're just opening it up and then using it and putting it away, and you're really just doing that like 3 times a day, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. More so, a bigger deal is the sharp edges on the inside of that hole and up here. I just don't like that. That kind of bothers me. I really wish that they would knock that down. The wire clip doesn't aesthetically look the best on this guy. But as far as like features of the knife and function, that's about it. Those are really the only things that I can complain about. My biggest complaint with this guy is the price, and it's just going to be on the titanium version. I think this is, I did a quick look. I'm finding these anywhere between $225 and $250 out there. Boy, that's a lot of money for a knife that's not made in the United States. Yeah, it's titanium. Yeah, it's Taichung, Taiwan with good fit and finish, but it's not the USA. And there are a lot of amazing USA knives that are using titanium and really good blade steels for that money. And there's a lot of amazing foreign knives for that price that are using the same materials in my opinion, just fancier execution. This is a great knife. It's just, to me, it's not worth that much money. Now, I don't know so much. I don't like carbon fiber laminate, and I honestly don't like FRN either. But looking at the price of the FRN version, yeah, that's one I could recommend. Curiously, they're all sold out right now, the lightweight Chaparrals. I think probably for good reason. I mean, fully ambidextrous, lightweight, CTS XHP. CTS XHP by itself is enough for me to overlook FRN in some situations. And that knife is only 95 bucks. So this, let me be very clear about this. This particular variant of the Chaparral, while it is beautiful and it's ironically probably the version that I would buy for myself, is, in my opinion, a little bit overpriced. And not a little bit, I think by quite a ways overpriced by my standards, not necessarily everybody's standards. I'm not trying to speak for everybody. It's not the version I would recommend. I would recommend the lightweight version at about 95 bucks. In some cases, I've seen it for 90 bucks. Yeah, FRN and XHP for that profile full four-finger grip, and it's probably like 1.8 ounces. Yeah, I can recommend that version. If I can find it, I'll link it in the description. I will link as many different versions of this knife as I can. If you want to go, shut up, Complex, I don't care what you think, I really want to buy that knife. Okay, that's fine. There's a link in the description. I'll put them all down there so you can find it. Hopefully at some point I can get my hands on a lightweight variant of this knife and then give my thoughts on that one. But that's going to be pretty much it for today's review, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.